It's been a while since I've touched on the topic of Kick or Kick versus Twitch in any real in-depth way. My initial assessment of the streaming platform was harsh, to say the least. But there's been a ton of changes to the site, the handling of content, and the overall legitimacy. So the question is, was I wrong? Did I judge too harshly? Or was I exactly right? One of my biggest initial complaints was the presence of adult content on the homepage.
So if a nipple accidentally slips, do I get like a permaban, or is it just like a warning, or is it like a celebration? I don't know what the which one is it?
It was not only immediately visible, but also listed as featured by Kick themselves. I had no issue with it on a personal level. I'm an adult, and the sight of half-naked men and women doesn't offend my own senses. However, I was concerned for minors, as the age restriction at the time was laughable at best. So let's check back in. Is the front page of Kick still a neon green copy of the hub? No, not at all. There's still, of course, the hot tub section, but that's not much different than any other streaming service. And now, there is the option to hide that category entirely from the site. The point being, it's not on the front page or featured by Kick specifically. My other issue was Kick being founded by Stake.com, and its initial focus being on gambling streams, including slots and CSGO crates. Most recently, Twitch itself has banned almost all gambling, with the focus seeming to be on CSGO crates in particular.
So we should probably just keep opening cases.
I stand by the fact that gambling, if not done in moderation, can be just as addicting and consuming as alcohol and drugs. There are obviously a lot of conflicting opinions when it comes to gambling and streaming in general, and the overall access to gambling content. I won't ever be the person to say I have the only correct opinion in the room, but I won't shy away from the conversation about something I feel really strongly about, which in this case includes the effects of gambling. However, Kick has obviously recognized, at least to some extent, that access to gambling content should be sometimes restricted. In that recognition, much like adult content, Kick has added the option to hide the entire category of gambling. For a person struggling with addiction, with only minimal influence needed to spiral, the lack of immediate content is pivotal. I also want to make clear that I in no way think the company is responsible for people's addictions or people's relapses, but ignoring, and in some cases feeding, a problem would never be the solution. So in these categories, even though they never needed it or asked for it, Kick has my respect. So there are admittedly a lot of positives for the fast-growing streaming service, but are there still issues? Of course. There isn't a single streaming service or company in general that doesn't have its own set of issues. The biggest issue, by far, is still the image of the company. The face of the company remains to this day Adin Ross. Through all of the changes, Adin Ross is still allowed to not only be the face of the company, but burn its reputation along the way. He has not made any apologies for the racist comments, posting literal Nazis on his stream, toxic call-out culture, sexist beliefs, and more importantly, his close association, with accused rapist and sex trafficker Andrew Tate.
All right, listen up, Baldy. Listen. Bro, it's hot in here. I'm sorry, Andrew. You can't get mad at him, bro. It's hot.
And now, after everything, he is threatening to leave the platform and switch over to Rumble. He was an advocate for digital currency scammer RiceGum to join Kick when he chose to go for Rumble instead. This infuriated Adin, who offered to pay him $50 million to buy him out and bring him over. When that also did not work, he began threatening to leave Kick altogether.
Eddie, ABZ, Kick. If we do not do everything in our power to sign RiceGum, we are fucked. If Rumble gets RiceGum before us, we are fucked. And I am ripping up the contract and going over there without a contract. If we do not get my brother RiceGum on Kick, I am leaving.
Kick seems to be working really hard to overhaul the Kick experience. Through these changes, several high-profile streamers have signed on. The most memorable, of course, is XQC, who signed on for a reported $100 million. The deal is great for XQC, of course, and maybe even for Kick, who gets to bring on a massive audience and additional smaller streamers who will follow in his footsteps. But $100 million? Sure, there is a massive influx of users and streamers, but is that sustainable? He isn't the only streamer being added to the platform for massive amounts of money, such as Armaranth, who signed for a reported $30 to $40 million. It leads us all to wonder, even if this is beneficial short term,
money printing machine.
What happens in a year if they don't make what they were expecting? Just how much money is going out in comparison to coming in? And that's not even touching on the recent backlash to React content, which XQC is almost exclusively doing now on his stream. The biggest draw for Kick is, and always was, the 95-5 split of revenue. Although Twitch's handling in the split is horrendous and predatory, I'm not sure that 95-5 is sustainable. I have no idea what their bookkeeping looks like, but just from a cursory glance and an outsider's perspective, Kick seems to be just bleeding money. They allow creators to take nearly all of what comes in from a much smaller view base than Twitch, while also giving away unfathomable amounts of money to large streamers who switch platform. In the wise words of the youth today, the math ain't mathin'. Between my first look into Kick and now, there has been a tremendous jump in the platform's legitimacy. They are putting in actionable changes into place that has the well-being of some of the most vulnerable of our population in mind. They now have big-name creators on the platform, which will inevitably bring their audience and smaller streamers over to the platform as well. But in all those changes, Twitter is still full of people insulting streamers for looking at any other site, creating further divides in both the gaming and streaming community, all while worshipping sexist and racist symbols of Kick like Aiden Ross.
Do a spin?
Yeah, I got you. You know what?
Jesus Christ, bro. You just said it broad daylight like there's no tomorrow, bro.
None of this even touches smaller concerns like lack of support or option for console streams or the barely functionable mobile app. I am able to admit when I'm wrong. While making this video, an incident occurred on Kick streaming site. Streamer Ice Poseidon, in collaboration with known perv Sam Pepper, had the brilliant idea to bring in a random viewer from the stream, hire an escort, and live stream the event.
What's the price of this?
So it's $5.15, yeah.
What the exact goal was remains unclear. Did he intend to live stream the sex between a viewer and an escort for his viewers and internet as a whole, including minors? Was this intended to be a prank, and it would have ended before anything happened? We'll probably never know.
But I don't know how that was gonna go. I was gonna come out of the room and be like, hey!
But the end result was this escort, who was aware she was being filmed, but did not seem to be aware that it was being live streamed, or that others were a room over watching, receiving a text from someone informing her of what was going on. She voiced her concerns, calling it creepy, and then tried to leave.
What's this about the guys who are messaging now? Guys are in the bedroom playing watching live stream.
Her attempt to leave was then stopped by that same random viewer who attempted to block her way out of the room, holding the door shut, saying he was upset that he hadn't been serviced.
Hey, can we just have the money back? I'm getting no service.
Even if this had gone the way the streamer had intended, it honestly just leaves me wanting a shower. The intent, execution, and excuses of those involved are truly just repugnant. To make matters worse, Kick part owner, screen named Eddie, was not only aware of the stream personally, but he was also in the chat, dropping laughing emojis. Is that what Kick really thinks of this situation? That it's funny? Kick dropped a tweet, or I guess an X, stating that they wanted streaming to be as great as it can be, but the safety of those involved is their priority. That didn't seem to be the case as the heat of the situation became clear, but Ice Poseidon was allowed to continue to stream live, up until his arrest along with Sam Pepper for sexual assault.
You're both currently under arrest for sexual assault. So come over here. Yes, seriously.
No.
I don't really know where the platform goes from here, but this entire process of this video, I was hopeful for their future as a platform. It was cautious optimism, but hopeful nonetheless. That's now changed. How it will be handled is for time to decide, but my support will not be given. Kick is obviously here to stay, at least as long as any other platform, but it has a long, confusing road ahead to get to a place where it earns the respect of the community as a whole. Whether they will choose to give in to the prepubescent arguments of Twitter or actually move forward as the massive company it has the potential to be is left completely for time to decide.